Alright, so I'm going to be going over the Grow 4 for today. I'm going to be showing you a build that can work for endgame zones, so power level 160s, and end of ventures. And I'm going to be going over on how this strap works, because there is a lot of people that don't actually know how this strap works. So I will be going over all of that in this video for today. Alright, so I got my Grow 4 right here, and I'm comparing it to this retractable spike. Both of these straps have the same perks you can see right here. Both have double reload, 1 damage, 1 durability, and 1 critical rating. And you might be thinking that, well, the retractable spike is better. It hits more damage, and it has a 2 times faster reload speed. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, obviously the retractable spike is better, and the Grow 4 is worse. And that is where you're wrong. Grow 4 has a very annoying problem, and this problem also exists for both broadside and gas. If I go over to my gas strap, obviously gas doesn't hit 462 damage, because it's AoE, it does constant damage over time. So realistically, because gas's AoE lasts for around 5 seconds, technically 6 with the effect duration perk set to blue, it can of course last up to 6 seconds, so if you multiply that strap's damage by times 5 or 6 because of the effect duration perk, that will show you the total amount of damage that strap does. And the same thing can be applied to Grow 4 because of its affliction damage. And now let me explain to you how Grow 4's affliction works. It's pretty simple. So basically, Grow 4, of course, hits around 25% of its damage per affliction tick, so that 1200 damage, it's realistically around 300 damage per affliction tick. And the affliction lasts for 5 seconds, it lasts for 6 seconds with effect duration perk. That means with no effect duration perk, Grow 4, this copy specifically, can actually hit around 2700 damage for a single attack, which is actually more than that retractable spike. And with an effect duration perk, this strap actually hits around 3000 damage, so that's basically around 50% more damage than this retractable spike does, which is really good. But you might be thinking, okay, well that's alright, but retractable still gets a better DPS technically over time because of its faster fire rate, right? Is what you might be wondering? Well, that's not really true. Grow 4 has an element. That element is of course fire, and our retractable spike hits physical damage. How elements work is that physical damage is reduced by 50% against anything that's an elemental. So if our retractable spike hits a water, fire, or nature husk, its damage is reduced by half. And because most enemies in endgame zones like power level 160s and endgame adventures are elementals, this strap will always be hitting 50% less damage, while our Grow 4 will either be hitting 100% of its damage against nature, 66% of its damage against fire, 75% of its damage against physical, and of course 33% of its damage against all water elementals. So realistically, this retractable spike, instead of hitting around 2041 damage, it's actually realistically 1020 damage per attack, because most enemies are elementals in endgame zones. And just as a quick recap, against nature elementals, Grow 4 will be hitting around at most 3000 damage per attack, while our retractable spike will be hitting around 1000 or so damage per attack. So keep that in mind. Another thing I wanted to go over too real quick is effect duration. Do not ever upgrade effect duration, ever. Why, you might be wondering? Well, it's actually pretty simple. So Grow 4's affliction lasts for 5 seconds and only gets increased up to 6 seconds with a blue perk, because if you add 20% to 5, it increases to 6. This game always rounds down when it comes to the duration time of any AoE or affliction. So basically, this 30% right here doesn't actually do anything, because the game always rounds down. So realistically, this perk right here that's fully legendary, that I spent epic and legendary perk up for, is just as good as the blue copy. So make sure for both your Grow 4 as well as your gas strap if you are planning on running an effect duration perk for either strap. Do not ever upgrade it because it's, well, I would say it's a diminish and return, but there's no return. It's just a waste. Just don't waste your perk up on something that doesn't even do anything. And one last thing I want to talk about with this strap, do not put multiple grow fours right beside each other, because how affliction works in this game is that they don't stack. So if I place 2 grow fours right here, basically there should be around 10 ticks of affliction that these huskies take, but they actually only take around 6 or so. Yep, around 6 ticks of affliction right there. And the reason why this happens is pretty simple. You can't just have the same damage source basically stack affliction on the same enemy multiple times. If you take a weapon like, I'm going to use the Gravedigger as an example. I can't just shoot a smasher 10 times and have 10 different stacks of affliction on that one enemy, because that would be broken. And the same logic is applied to grow four. You can't use multiple grow fours to attack the same husk multiple times to have multiple stacks of affliction. That's just not a thing in this game at all. So make sure when you're building grow fours to space them out, or maybe just even use 1 or 2 at most. Alright, let's just jump straight into this build. And I'm running 2 different copies of grow four. I got one with double reload in the front, and then one with double crit damage in the back. So basically I have pretty much one, constantly pumping out damage, and then another one that's going to be able to finish off those enemies. I also got a freeze for as well. Freeze actually synergizes really well with grow because it applies a damage vulnerability, which means I could get my grow four to do even more damage, which is amazing. So basically they're going to step onto the flame trap and instantly get frozen. I also got some wall darts too kicking around. You do need something to counter nurses with grow four because it's not a very good trap for nurses, and wall darts work pretty much perfectly. I also got some tire straps. These are just minimal power level, just double reload, just for the crowd control. The same goes for the wall launchers and the sound walls there too. Just something to do with those propanes. And these of course have different reload perks, so they're going to be alternating, of course. And then I have some wall darts for weeks, tars for weeks. I'm also using metal in a nature storm, and that is intentional because, believe it or not, but tier 3 stone is really bad. Like, it's incredibly bad. So even though nature smashers will be hitting double damage towards metal, realistically, if a physical smasher smashes through this metal wall, because of the wall strap I have giving it extra building health, it will survive unlike a stone wall. So that is why I'm using, of course, metal. Metal is, of course, the best pick whenever you're playing any mission, in my opinion, without a constructor. So that's why I'm using metal. I also got a sound wall beside a freeze for. Make sure these have different reload times. I might have misplaced my sound walls for the first strap tunnel that I built because I was rushing a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty much the build. With some tire straps, some grow, some freeze, some darts, some sound walls, and some tar. All I need left to do is just build something for, of course, flingers. I like using this build right here. Just basically drop a few bundle bus defenders, or defenders with bundle buses, I guess, technically. And yeah, this is one of the easiest ways to just deal with flingers. You could put like 3 of them if you want. And yeah, you don't really need to worry about enemies from the air. Just make sure you upgrade all of this in case one does randomly land, because of the reload time of the defenders. Because, they're not like, of course, traps like gas or 1-4 spikes. They will, of course, have to reload their weapons eventually. But yeah, let's just start this mission up. Also, real quick, these are the perks that I'm running for my brown beater, because I know someone's probably going to ask that, of what weapons you are using and what perks. And I'm also going to be using the Thunderbolt as well. These are the perks I have for it. I'm using the brown beater to kill smashers and just anything that gets through the trap tunnels, and then the Thunderbolt to just launch enemies back into the trap tunnels. bit of a few problems with this trap tunnel, but I do have open space on my ceiling, so, you know, in case I needed it, put a third tire strap down. That's why we leave open space from time to time, just in case we might need that extra strap, or we might not need that extra strap. See, right here, this is actually pretty toxic. I'm waiting right here with my Thunderbolt ready, so when he actually does get back up, I just launch him back into the trap tunnel. That's actually really toxic, I'm not gonna lie. Forgot to mention this, but I actually have a little stall pit on the side of my little objective here, and I actually showcased this off in my Chrome Husky video, and this is like a really easy way to just deal with Chrome Huskies. Just build a pit like this, have some alternating freeze, sound walls, wall lights, and that's just going to deal with Chrome Huskies very passively and easily. And also, they don't despawn to respawn, so if they get stuck somewhere, they're just sort of stuck forever. So keep that in mind if you don't really want to deal with Chrome Huskies at all. Now we have the boss coming in, so he's pretty much just a husky. These guys will just go after your objective, or not your objective, but the walls around your objective. So yeah, he's just going to destroy your walls pretty much. This boss was actually pretty easy, I'm not gonna lie, like just shorting him with the brown beater. Nice thing with this boss is that he actually warped away before he got out of the tar, so I have like a lot more time to deal with him. Also, just to further prove my point with this little stall box right here for the chrome huskies, they're still perfectly trapped in there. They don't despawn at all, and I haven't seen another one ever since I trapped those two in there. So keep that in mind, like you can just make a little box like that and just not have to deal with chrome huskies at all. I guess I didn't really need these defenders. They didn't really send any flingers or lobbers at all. But, you know, it's always great to have them just in case, you know, they do send those flingers or lobbers. They can always send a lot. It is all random, of course. But just like that, that is pretty much the end of the mission. Just like that. Didn't really have too many issues besides the smashers destroying the one wall launcher that I have in this trap tunnel right here. And of course the bombardment at the front here. But it is what it is, you know. Had to build my own ramp and block that one off. It is what it is. And that was the Grow 4. Pretty fun trap in my opinion. And also definitely not as bad as a lot of people say it is. And definitely worth checking out, I would say. Especially with the fact that next season is going to be all nature zones. So keep that in mind. Could be a trap actually worth upgrading and investing a little bit of perk up into. But yeah, fun trap. It's not too shabby, I would say. Well, guess that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot, and I do this kind of content all the time. If you do have any feedback or any ideas for any hero or weapon loadouts or for trap builds, maybe leave a comment. And also share this video with anyone that's very anti-Grow 4, I would say. This video would definitely ruin their day. But other than that, hope you enjoyed the video. Have yourselves a great day, and I will see you in the next one. So see ya.